Welcome to National Museum and enjoy your visit. My name is Kyo. I've been working for the National Museum since 2004. And for the past 10 years, I was in charge of education and public services. Currently, I am responsible for exhibition unit. The objective of national museums are conduct the museum's activities such as research, collect, and exhibits all about the history and culture of Malaysia, as well as ensure that the museum become the country's main tourism spot. Museum Negara or National Museum is an important landmark not only in a KL city but also for the architectural history. So following independence in 1957, it was the first monumental work in the city that clearly departed from modernist architecture. So in favor of new traditions based on the Malay style of architecture and local traditions.
Welcome to Museum Negara Malaysia, our premier museum and a landmark in the city of Kuala Lumpur. Let us go into the gallery now and let us start to study the prehistory of Malaysia. Over here we have the Paleolithic period, which is the Old Stone Age, and you'll find that this has come in from about 300,000 years ago leading up to the 10,000 years ago. This is bark cloth. They will use the inner part of the tree, shave it off, wet it, and beat it with those stone beaters as you see there. And once it is dried, it is very nice and soft, which can be folded and used as clothing. This is a diorama of cave life. It's a large cave. You can see the people living in the cave, a family, how they cook the food, how they prepare the food, and the clothes that they are wearing. Now we come to Gallery B, and Gallery B will introduce you to the early Malay kingdom of Malacca. This is a sample of the spices which are traded. Initially, the main item of trade was cloves and nutmeg, and later on there were lots of other jungle produce that were being traded and exported largely to Europe, and one of the most precious items that was sent out there was pepper. Here we see a diorama that depicts how the religious people met the Sultan and converted him into Islam. The Sultan who converted to Islam was the second Sultan of Malacca, and his name was Sultan Megat Iskandar Shah. One must remember that when the trading took place, people from India and people from China came into Malacca and they settled and established themselves there. And when they did that, they lived there, had families, and until today, we have their descendants in this country.
Well, actually, after the independence of Malaya in 1957, so Tunku Abdul Rahman, our first Prime Minister, proposed to build a national museum for our country. So then the cabinet had appointed an architect, Mr. Ho Kok Ho, to design the building. Well, I would say the whole building is very unique because actually it's based on the Malay traditional house and Malay palace. So when you observe the central hall of this museum, you can actually see it's similar with the Balai Besar in Alor.
We are now at the entrance of Gallery C, which introduces the colonial era in Malaya. The first colonialists who came to this country were the Portuguese. They had heard about the riches of Malacca and they wanted to get involved to capture the trade and capture the riches. This is a diorama of the ship that Alfonso Albuquerque used. It is called the Flora de la Mar, which means flower of the sea. We have here the Bunga Mas. Every school child learns about the Bunga Mas, which is a gift that was given from the sultans of Kedah, Terengganu, and Kelantan to the King of Siam every 3 years. This is a model of a tin dredge. The real tin dredge, of course, is a very huge piece of equipment, almost as big as a museum building. Buckets at the back will scrape the tin from the earth from the lake on which it is floating, and through various mechanical processes, it will separate the tin from the earth, the sand, and the tailings, and the tin would be extracted and converted into ingots or blocks of tin, which would be used to process various tin products.
This tepat siri, or the betel set, once belonged to Almarhum Sultan Abdul Samad of Selangor in the 1859. This piece of paper or collections actually is grant land issued by the Japanese army during the occupations of Japanese in 1942. It's to the residents of the Malaya during that time, and here you can see the name of the owner.
Now we come to Gallery D, which talks about the independence of Malaya. And you must remember that after the Japanese had left, the British had returned. And the feeling of independence, the feeling of wanting to be free again had already gotten into the blood of the Malayans. By 1955, the country had already felt confident, because of the various threats being over, to go for local elections for a legislative assembly. And now the party of UMNO was led by Tunku Abdul Rahman. They held elections in the country and they won 51 out of the 52 seats in the Legislative Assembly. In this display we have here an exhibit of the Tengkolok di Raja, which is a royal headdress worn by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong. Now, Tengkolok is very much a part of the Malay culture, and each sultan has his own design for a Tengkolok. And so finally, after the formation of the Malay kingdoms, we now have finally our country, Malaysia, my homeland, on the peninsula and on Borneo, a beautiful country with economic development, peace and prosperity. And all of you are most welcome to visit our country.
We would definitely hope the visitors will tell others that they had enjoyed the visit here, and that this place, this museum is a must-visit place in Kuala Lumpur, just to get more insight into the history and culture of Malaysia. Thank you for coming, and goodbye.
Hi, welcome to Royal Museum. Please enjoy your visit. My name is Siti Rabia binti Abdul Rahman, and I'm the curator and director of this Royal Museum. So I've been stationed in this museum currently, but I've been actually working with the government for almost 15 years. The Royal Museum was opened to the public on the 1st February 2013. So since then we have been receiving a lot of tourists from locals and also foreigners. When the government decided to build a new national palace at Jalan Duta, so in 2006 they have come out with an idea that what will be happening to this museum. So the vision or the aims of this museum is to uphold the constitutional monarchy of Malaysia by disseminating the knowledge of the institution of Yang di-Pertuan Agong of Malaysia, and also the building itself, which is the heritage building. The history of Royal Museum goes way back in 1928, when actually it was built as a personal mansion of a Chinese miners who was a millionaire known as Chan Wing. Later, in 1941, when the Second World War broke out, the Japanese took over this place and becomes the headquarters of the Japanese military officers. And in 1957, it is officially named as the official residence of Yang di-Pertuan Agong of Malaysia, the first.
Now we're having an exhibition about the Istana Negara Lama, also the old National Palace, the 57 years of glory from 1957 to 2011.
So the Balai Rong Series actually is quite current in the history of Royal Museum, because it is an additional building which was built in 1980s by the seventh king of Malaysia at that time, Sultan Ahmad Shah from Pahang. So he decided he wanted to be installed in the new Balai Rong. So you can see that the building is quite different from the palace building, because this is basically more into Malay style architecture.
We can say the most important artifact that we have in this museum would be the throne.
The throne is actually a very Malay stylish architecture, and if you can see that it has 7 pillars, And the 5 pillars at the back symbolize 5 national principles of the country, with many decorative floral on top, and also like a dome a little bit. And it is made from chengal wood without any nails on it. The 5 elevated stairs also indicated the highest position of His Majesty the King of Malaysia.
This is the Royal Museum, the main gallery. Is also known as the Istana Negara Lama. And what you can see here is the audience room. Okay, this is the dining room. It was used for the families to have dinner, lunch, and for their close friends. Okay, this is the small throne hall. As you can see here, the light is quite dim. It is because that we have converted this building into a museum. The function of this room is to giving the credential to the Malaysian ambassadors to other country, and also receiving credential from the ambassadors from other country to Malaysia.
Architecture of this building is actually based on a Palladian design, which is an European style of building. In the palace itself, we have almost 32 rooms. Majesty Yang di-Pertuan Agong with special names and functions.
This is the area of the apartments, and this is the entrance that cannot be entered by the staff, only by consent of His Majesty. And the main room of this apartment will be the bedroom of the King and Queen. As you can see, the ceiling that we have here is the painted ceiling. It's been painted for around 3 months by the painters. There is one interesting room that we have here in this gallery, which is the Royal Dental Room. With the yellow skin color, this is the place for His and Her Majesty get their dental treatment from the doctors and the nurses that will come by every Wednesday. This is the main dining room that was used before for the dignitaries. Because this room was used to serve the dignitaries, which can be a sultan or the president of other countries. So what they do is, for His Majesty, it will be shown by the yellow napkin, and the seat there is for Her Majesty.
We hope that we can do more activities, programs, which will portray more the information on the royal families, not only the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, but also other royal families in Malaysia. And also we would like to have more people to see this place as a historical place, which is very important to be visited, so that we can instill our love for our Supreme Kings and also for our nation. Royal Museum is located at Jalan Istana, so you can come here by your own transport, and also you can use a taxi to arrive in this place. Thank you for visiting Royal Museum of Malaysia. Bye.
Selamat datang ke Muzium Tekstil Negara. Nama saya Rusida Abdullah, Kurator Kanal. Mari kita lihat apa yang ada di dalam. Muzium ini telah dirasmikan oleh Yang Amat Berbahagia Datin Paduka Sri Usmah Mansur, Isteri Perdana Menteri Malaysia, pada 17 April 2012. Dan seterusnya kita mengadakan pameran-pameran sementara seperti pameran batik sarung, batik berela. Galeri Pon Budi ini mempamerkan sejarah tekstil negara, di mana permulaan daripada zaman prasejarah. Ini antara gendang dongsor yang saya maksudkan tadi, iaitu permukaannya terdiri daripada corak-corak yang dihasilkan sebagai satu hasil kain tenun rungus masyarakat di Sabah. Ini adalah kain puah. Kain puah menggunakan alat tenun namakan tenun sandang di mana benang yang manjang kita namakan benang loseng, mana benang yang melentak dan menampakkan. Untuk menghasilkan corak, mereka mesti menggunakan benang loseng seperti terdapat di pameran ini. Seterusnya kita akan ke galeri pelangi, iaitu galeri kedua, di mana galeri ini merupakan galeri yang mempunyai pelbagai etnik-etnik yang terdapat di Malaysia. Nama galeri pelangi ini adalah bersempena dengan nama kain tekstil terdapat di sini, iaitu kain pelangi. Kain pelangi ini menggunakan teknik treating, di mana ia mempunyai warna pelbagai. Di Sabak juga mempunyai terdapat pelbagai jenis kain tenun yang dihasilkan. Di atas ini adalah kain pis dan juga kain dasar, bertujuan untuk menghasilkan hiasan kepala yang dipanggil sebagai sigar dan juga sundi. Ini adalah hasil tenunan oleh masyarakat tempatan di Sabah. Objektif utama kita wujudkan sebuah museum adalah untuk pengumpulan, penyedikan, pemeliharaan, dokumentasi dan juga mempamerkan koleksi khazanah negara, terutama tekstil, bagi kita memberi pendahan kepada masyarakat di luar. Misi kami di sini adalah sebenarnya untuk jadikan sebuah museum, iaitu sebagai satu tarikan kepada pelawat di sana untuk membuat kajian secara terperinci dan untuk mereka hasilkan sama ada desain baru atau corak baru ataupun ingin mengekalkan corak yang sama tetapi atas wajah baru. Okay, seterusnya kita ke galeri Teluk Pantai. Di sini kita lebih fokus kepada koleksi atau tekstil Melayu. Kain limar berayat dan juga batik berayat. Kedua-dua kain ini digunakan adalah untuk penutup keranda. Namun apa yang istimewa di sini, kain limar berayat mempunyai ayat-ayat tertentu seperti kalimah la ilaha illallah, menggunakan teknik ikat pakan yang amat unik. Sekarang kita berada di galeri Ratna Sari. Di sini terdapat pelbagai jenis hiasan diri dan juga yang diperbuat daripada emas, perak, tembaga, tumbuh-tumbuhan, bulu binatang dan sebagainya. Ini adalah cerpa yang digunakan untuk meletakkan tembakau dan dipakai oleh sama ada pembesar negara ataupun kerabat diraja. Seterusnya kita akan melihat cucuk sanggul goyang dan cucuk sanggul yang dipakai oleh masyarakat kita, sama ada masyarakat Melayu, India pun ataupun masyarakat Nyonya. Ini antara hiasan-hiasan kepala yang sangat unik. Galeri ini dinamakan Galeri Saindra, yang merupakan galeri sementara di mana terdapat pelbagai jenis pameran-pameran tertentu khusus untuk dipamerkan bagi bermusim. Maka untuk kali ini kita mengadakan pameran hiasan kepala, kecantikan dan kuasa. Ini adalah antara ikatan dendam tak sudah yang dipakai oleh agung ataupun sultan-sultan di negeri-negeri seperti Kedah, Perlis dan juga Negeri Sembilan. Dan ini adalah terendak menggunakan anyaman. Kemudian ini adalah masyarakat Kokos menggunakan kain batik. Untuk mengenali tekstil, kita perlulah mempunyai pengetahuan dan pengalaman. Sebelum kita hendak menyentuh sesuatu koleksi, perlulah kita menggunakan sarung tangan agar ia tidak, kerana tangan kita agak sensitif kerana terdapat asid yang boleh merosakkan koleksi kita. Jadi untuk itu, ini saya perkenalkan antara koleksi yang paling lama adalah berusia di antara 100 hingga 300 tahun, iaitu kain cindai. Oleh itu, untuk kita menjaga koleksi ini, kami telah menggunakan kain pengalas di bawah berwarna merah seperti ini, seperti kain kasa ataupun kain cotton, untuk dilapiskan supaya koleksi ini dapat bertahan lebih lama. Kain ini adalah merupakan kain yang dihadiahkan ataupun dibeli dari pihak luar, iaitu daripada negara India, di mana ketika itu dalam abad ke-9 hingga abad ke-15, di mana kain-kain dagangan yang dibawa oleh pedagang-pedagang India telah datang ke tanah Melayu semata-mata untuk berdagang atas kain-kain tekstil yang terdapat di negara mereka. Masyarakat Bidayuh memang popular dengan pakaian kulit kayu. Ini adalah kulit kayu terkalung yang digunakan menggunakan kulit kayu bagi salutan kedua, di mana salutan yang di bahagian luar dibuang, salutan kedua diambil kemudian direndamkan di dalam sungai. Masyarakat Bidayu biasanya mereka tidak menggunakan kulit kayu sahaja, tapi mereka cuba meragam hiaskan dengan menggunakan pelbagai jenis media, seperti contoh dia menggunakan cat merah seperti ini, manik untuk jadikan hiasan, dan juga siput-siput laut untuk mendapat lebih menarik akan pakaian mereka. Jadi untuk pelawat-pelawat yang ingin datang ke Prehistoric Senggara boleh datang ke museum dengan menggunakan kenderaan awam seperti adanya LRT, kita ada taksi, bas awam dan sebagainya untuk datang ke Museum Tekstil. Terima kasih kerana mengunjungi Museum Tekstil Senggara. Sehingga berjumpa lagi.